Aero Precision pushes the boundaries for modern sporting rifle builds and machines receivers from custom forgings for added strength and durability. Aero Precision delivers top-quality American-made products at an affordable price. AeroPrecisionUSA.com.
All right, let's do this thing. Tom Gresham here. It's called Gun Talk because we're going to be talking about guns for hours and hours and hours. Yes, well, guns and ammo and scopes and sights and lasers and holsters and safes and storage and practice and training. And, yeah, we'll talk politics as well because you just can't talk about guns these days without talking about politics. And it's so important. And there's so many assaults on us individually, on us collectively, on our Second Amendment rights. And it comes from all these different directions. We'll talk about a little bit of that. We have actually one that just pops up. If you know the name Keith Olbermann, formerly ESPN, now who knows where he is, and isn't even paying attention to this guy. But for some reason, he gets a lot of exposure on Twitter and online deals. Former, I guess, sports guy, now ultra-liberal leftist nut job. And he keeps tweeting out, there's nothing in the Second Amendment that says you can own a gun. I mean, I know the guy can't be stupid. I don't think he's stupid. Obtuse, perhaps. I mean, keep means own. Every time you look it up, you know, the right to keep and bear arms. And just for people who are not really clear, this is the way it reads. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, the term the people is used 4 times in the Bill of Rights. 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 10th, I believe, if I remember right. It never means the government. And it's interesting because they won't say, well, that, they don't mean people. They mean like the militia. Well, it doesn't say that. It says, because we need a militia, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's like saying, well, in the First Amendment, when they say the people, they're saying, well, the government should have the right of free speech. In the 4th and the 10th, the right of the government. There is no right of the government. Let's get that out of the way. Government does not have rights. Consider that. The people who make the laws don't have rights. They have power, but they don't have rights. We have rights. Individuals have rights. People have rights. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So here's Keith Olbermann saying there is no right to own a gun, which is bizarre. I mean, clearly, the courts actually disagree with him in this case. But it's just interesting that this is out there, and people who have huge audiences keep repeating this kind of nonsense. And the problem is, for people who don't know any different, they look at that and go, yeah, that makes sense. And that's coming from a guy who really ought to know things because he's got 1 million followers or 2 million followers online, social media. And you don't get that by not being right. Well, actually, you do. You get that. Sometimes you get that by being stupid. Incredibly stupid. So we have this thing that keeps popping up, this misinformation, which is the term of the week, I guess. Misinformation, disinformation, actually, is what it is, where they're saying there is no right to keep and bear arms. You don't have that right. They never meant that. They never imagined, I always love that. They never imagined, really? The Founding Fathers were really, really smart and really well-educated. And, I mean, think about Benjamin Franklin. Think about Thomas Jefferson. Think about the things that they did, the things that they built, the things that they constructed, the areas of science and architecture and literature that they were involved in. I think they pretty much had a pretty good imagination, not to mention the fact that there were rapid-fire firearms when they wrote the Second Amendment. So they knew about that. So don't be dissuaded by this silly stuff. And don't be, for heaven's sakes, don't be one of those people who says, well, I'm a gun owner, but, I support the Second Amendment, but, because the moment you say but, it means you don't support the Second Amendment. Because you're about to say, I could support some restrictions on your right to keep and bear arms. Later today, we're going to be talking about an important court case we just had. The Fourth Circuit just ruled, and let me back up. You understand that the Gun Control Act of 1968, which was passed right after the murder of Martin Luther King and a few years after the murder of JFK and Bobby Kennedy, the Gun Control Act of 1968 said that if you're 18, 19, or 20 years old, you cannot buy a handgun. Weirdly enough, you can own a handgun. You just can't buy one from a licensed dealer. Well, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, this is a federal court right underneath the Supreme Court, this week ruled, no, actually, as a citizen, your rights vest at age 18. You get your constitutional rights at age 18, all of them. And that includes the Second Amendment. So therefore, this law is unconstitutional. They ruled that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds can, in fact, buy handguns from a licensed gun dealer. It was a 2-1 decision in the panel, the 3-judge panel. Probably will be appealed, probably will go to the en banc, be heard there in the fourth, probably will get appealed to the Supreme Court. But it's a really interesting development, is it not? We'll actually be talking a little bit later on with a constitutional expert about the Second Amendment and the progress that we're making in the courts. Now, we certainly are fighting battles in the legislatures and Congress and Biden and all of that. Oh, by the way, in Louisiana, the first ever under the new Constitution from 1974 veto session going to be held this week. One of the laws that the governor, John Bel Edwards, vetoed was the constitutional carry bill in Louisiana. The governor vetoed it, and so the legislature is going to meet this week to try to override vetoes. Now, it's Louisiana politics as usual, and it's hardball, bare knuckle, with the governor saying, oh, you want that exit ramp in your district, that $70 million project? It ain't going to happen if you vote to override my veto. Oh, you want that new job working as the head of the casino authority? Yeah, you probably don't want to be on hand for that vote if you want to have that job. Oh, you want, yes, and that's how it's being done. It's been explained to people in very clear terms. If you want the money for your district, if you want the projects, because the governor has line item veto power in Louisiana. And Governor John Bel Edwards, a Democrat who is term limited and probably looking to go further in the Democrat Party, get a cool job with the administration. He knows that if the constitutional carry goes through in Louisiana, his chances go down. And if he can block constitutional carry in Louisiana, his chances of getting a job with the uber liberal leftist in the Democratic Party go up. That's what's going on. There will be a rally in Baton Rouge of Second Amendment activists tomorrow, Monday, I think at 5:30. Check with the Louisiana Shooting Association and find out what's going on there. Also, want to talk to you about, and here's a question on the floor for you. Do you actually care about the caliber of your defensive pistol that you carry? 45, 49, 380? Does it make any difference in your mind? And if so, what do you carry and why? I'd love to know what's in your head about that, as all these people are carrying guns all over the place now. To good effect, actually. Good people carrying guns and protecting themselves. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun. Gun Talk, we'll be right back.
Introducing Kimber's Micro 9 Repeat Black Ice. All the attitude of the original, now in a 9mm subcompact that's like nothing else. Here's just a taste of what you get. A match-grade V-cut trigger, True Glow TFX Pro day-night sights, the Stiplex front strap pattern, slide lightning cuts, and stepped cocking serrations. In other words, the Micro 9 Repeat Black Ice may be subcompact, but it's still big on performance. Find your new everyday carry at kimberamerica.com.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
Before computers, before engines and automobiles and roads, before all of this, there was the land. A great ocean of land with mountains black as night, standing guard over all that is and was and forever will be. This is the Black Hills of South Dakota, the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth.
Visit black-hills.com for more information.
All right, back with you here. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in. I'm Tom Gresham. It's Gun Talk. If you want to know more about what we do, check it out, guntalk.com or guntalktv.com if you want to see all of our videos. We have, and I'm not kidding, we have literally thousands of videos about guns, shooting, technique, tactics, bullets, ammo. It just doesn't matter. Whatever it is, I'm sure, have videos on that. In fact, we'll be talking with somebody who was recently in a first-person defender series with us, be coming up just shortly, what it's like to be in our first-person defender show. We'll be talking about that. But let's run over to line 1 where James is calling out of Palestine, Texas. Hey, James, what's on your mind, sir?
Well, last week you had Governor Cuomo, that Mussolini wannabe, and others talking about suing the U.S. firearms industry out of business.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if that happens, you got to remember there's countries overseas like Russia and China who would gladly like to import all the firearms and ammunition the U.S. wants. Make a lot of money for them. And I don't think old Joe Biden really is actually making the Red Chinese or Russians cringe with fear, to put it mildly.
Well, yeah, you're covering two different things. I'm not sure I'm understanding the connection between Governor Cuomo's plan to sue the gun industry out of business versus what Russia wants to import guns. I'm not getting that.
Well, if the U.S. firearms industry is sued out of business, well, let's face it. If you're like in Russia or the Chinese, well, here's one way to make money: just make firearms and ammunition and import them into the U.S. But
they won't. You understand? They won't be allowed to import them.
Well, I do seem to think that the Bidens and the Clintons have extensive dealings with and other Democrats have extensive business dealings with the Chinese and Russians.
Oh, I understand that. I mean, I get that. But, I mean, under the law, they won't be able to import them. The goal here is to get rid of the guns. If they say we're going to shut down gun manufacturing in the U.S., they're not going to say, therefore, we're going to allow guns to be imported from other countries. That will all be together at that point. So, I mean, people need to understand this is and I appreciate the call, but, yeah, Governor Cuomo's plan to make it possible for people to sue the gun industry for the misuse of the guns, not because the gun makers did anything wrong, not because they broke the law at all, just because somebody used the gun. And he may actually have undermined his effort when he announced this new law, because he said the goal of this is to do away with the federal law that protects gun makers from these frivolous, mischievous lawsuits. So if the goal, and here's the thing, under the Supremacy Clause, states are not allowed to negate federal law. Fully expect there to be a flurry of lawsuits about that for too long here. Let's see, Gary's on 5 out of New York State. Gary, where you been? What you been doing?
Well, the last week in June, first week in July, was a training week. On June 28th, we did a shotgun class here at our local gun range, Burlington Flats Fish and Gun Club, with Ben DeWalt from On-Site Firearms.
Cool.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that week, we're at the Sig Sauer Academy Tuesday did an appendix in waistband class, and then Wednesday and Thursday did red dot pistol classes with Scott Jedlinski of the Modern Samurai Project.
Had you ever been to the SIG Academy before?
Actually, back in 2014, we did a trial of a training group, TG1, and there were 12 of us in the group. We committed to one Saturday a month for 10 months of training. We actually did Saturdays and Sundays, so I've got extensive training at SIG. Okay.
If you would, just kind of give people an idea of what it's like to go to the SIG Academy and just the quality of the place.
The quality of the place is phenomenal. They have all of their ranges there. They're very, very, very safe. If you demonstrate that you know what you're doing, they will push you, and they will make you better. They have a 360-degree shoot house. They have what's called Container City, where they've got shipping containers that they use as rooms.
Right.
You can do force-on-force training. And then, of course, when we went up there Monday, I heard the great enabler saying, might as well.
Uh-oh.
So I walked into the pro shop where they have the wall of guns. Mm-hmm. And when I got home Friday, there was a P220 Legion 10-millimeter single-action only waiting for me.
You're the man. That is a nice pistol.
Oh, my goodness, is it a nice pistol. I can't, my best friend has all the SIG Classic line pistols. I can't get used to the double-action, single-action.
Me too.
The single-action only with the thumb safety was perfect.
Yeah, that is a very nice pistol.
And I put about 100 rounds to it.
Okay, good deal. I was going to ask you, you mentioned the quality of the facility. For me, I mean, yes, the facility is great, but for me, it's instructors that are so incredible at the SIG Academy.
I know, they are. And they're from, most of them are law enforcement or ex-military. There are some there's one there who is a teacher and just got into firearms, and she's in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so she's an adjunct instructor. But again, they're very helpful. They don't make you feel as a civilian like you're a second-class citizen. They treat you just as they treat law enforcement and military. It is a phenomenal place to train. And you can go all the way out to 1,000 yards if you want. They've got a Reach for 1,000 course where they have a 1,000-yard range. We were up near the engineering building, that range, and we had a great time. Probably maybe for the 3 days, 750 rounds. Heat exhaustion, of course, that Wednesday because it was 95 degrees and extremely humid. Decided that, I'm not ready for appendix in waistband yet. I've got a lot of thinking to do about that, simply because I really can't see down to reholster the gun.
Interesting, because I will have to admit, I've started thinking, well, everybody's doing this appendix carry. I need to maybe figure out, is there a way that I can do that? Should I? Because I'm a 330 position guy. That's where I've always carried, and I'm comfortable that way. And I think probably, let me ask you this, I think probably the appendix draw can be a little bit quicker because of the nature of clearing the garment and drawing there. What do you think?
Definitely is quicker, and I can see a lot of advantages with it. The only thing I just have to get better equipment, and I've got to work on it with an unloaded gun and just really try it out. Right now I'm carrying 330 outer waistband. I've got my Glock 43, which I just put a loophole Delta Point micro on, and that's comfortable for me.
Okay.
So I like it, but as anybody gets a chance to go to SIG, they should go. Our problem here in New York is we have a hard time getting instructors from outside the state in here because of the state's gun laws.
Oh, sure.
Like Scott Jedlinski said, no, I won't go into New York State. He said, just the chance that my guns go the wrong way, I'm not going to do it. So we do have some good homegrown instructors. Ben DeWalt of On-Site Firearms is very good. Rochester Personal Defense, Dave Jenkins, but we don't have a lot.
Yep, there you go.
Unfortunate.
Look, great range report. I appreciate that, sir. I do want to comment on this idea of carrying your gun as you travel. In Chicago, a guy got arrested. He had a rifle and a handgun in his hotel room, and he was arrested, and the mayor made a big deal out of, we stopped a mass shooting and blah, blah, blah. And his attorney is now saying, look, this guy's an Iowa auto mechanic. He had his rifle and his pistol with him because he was afraid of the crime in Chicago, and he was there to propose to his girlfriend. That all may be true, but it turns out a housekeeper went into his room and found a loaded, according to the reports, a loaded semi-automatic rifle with quote-unquote laser scope, 5 clips, magazines, right, and a loaded .45 caliber handgun. You need to know the laws when you travel. You don't go to Chicago and leave loaded guns in your hotel room. That's just, if that's what happened, that's crazy. That's just, I'm sorry, that's dumb. And if you travel with guns, it is upon you to know what the regs are, to know what the laws are, and to fully understand this is not a slap on the wrist kind of a deal. This is, you could go to jail for this. And not every state honors the Firearms Owners Protection Act, FOPA, which they should. But even there, if you're traveling with your gun under FOPA, the gun needs to be in a lock case and unloaded as you're traveling. And your concealed carry permit's not going to be good for you. It's not going to do you any good in Chicago. It's just one of those deals that, he may not have meant anything by this. There may not have been any ill intent. But if he did have a couple of loaded guns and he left them out where a housekeeper could see them when she goes in, somebody's not thinking right. I don't know. Just a thought for you there. So the question on the floor is, would you ever go get some force-on-force training? Would you ever participate in our first-person defender show? The one where we take regular people and drop them into self-defense situations. Well, one guy who did is going to report on what it's like and what we put him through. We'll be right back. Well, I would hope that by now you've heard us talk about our series, First Person Defender. We're in our, 10th season now of doing this. It's a digital delivery only television show, if you will, a series where the concept is you take people and you drop them into a self-defense situation. It's a carjacking, an ATM robbery, whatever. We use simunitions or some type of non-lethal firearm propellant or projectiles. And we try to set up to challenge people, and then they go through the scenario, and then we give them a little bit of training, and then let them try something not exactly the same, but kind of similar, so they can have some learning taking place with the whole deal. In addition to that, and it's not just watching those, we've expanded it over the years, and now we have an awful lot of, I never thought about that type of videos where, things like how to find the red dot, how to use self-defense lights, when to engage a manual safety, on and on and on, things where you're thinking, I never actually thought about that there was actually a right or a wrong or a best way to do things. And we have all of those videos, thousands and thousands of videos available wherever you get your streaming video, you can find Gun Talk there. Well, some of the folks who go through there, it's an experience and a half. Joining us right now is Luke Capria. He just recently went through First Person Defender with us. Luke, how was it, man?
It was amazing, Tom. Thank you. Truly an unforgettable experience and just quite an honor and a pleasure to partake in. What made you want to do that? I assume that you had been watching the First Person Defender videos. I have. I've seen not all of them. I've seen many of them. Mm-hmm. I've done martial arts before and have enjoyed that and learned quite a bit from that. But with training with a firearm, there's nothing available for a regular person such as myself to have that force-on-force training. It's hard to find. Yeah, it is. So, all right. So, what did the guys set up for you? What did they have you doing? My scenario took place from a headline, and it involved a shooting at a gun store. So in the scenario, I was the customer, just doing my everyday thing.
Okay, so you're in a gun store, you're the customer, and then what happens?
Then what happens? You know, it's interesting. This happened on Monday. I was there for training, and when you go through that scenario, our trainer Mike, he asked that question right away. And at the time, I couldn't think of, you know, what's the right answer. You know, I thought my gut would to say, hey, he's the bad guy, and I need to defend myself in that scenario. And Mike asked me, how did I know that was really the bad guy? Mm-hmm. And holy cow, what a pointed question. At the time, I couldn't think of. I thought it was just a gut response. You know, it's like,
describe to us. I mean, literally, describe to us what happened. You're in the store, and then what? Somebody walks in. What do they do? How did you know something was going south?
I was in the store. I was talking to Joseph, the clerk, and asking him questions about something he had on the counter. And bad guy was to my right at the time, and you know, he's one of those guys that took his firearm out at a store to see if a magazine would fit or something. So Joseph said something to him, said, hey, don't do that. And he said, all right, you know, sorry about that. And he, you know, makes like he was leaving. Mm-hmm. Well, then he kind of came around behind me and around to my left, and everything started to go crazy. So I ducked down and I returned some fire in his direction.
So wait. When you say everything started to go crazy, what do you mean? Did he start shooting people?
Yep, he started shooting some other people that were in the store, and I had to react to that. You know, and there were good ways to react, and you know, trained ways to react, and you know, I took that opportunity to learn a lot.
You know, I can hear it in the way you're talking. I know what's happened. You have spent countless hours since your First Person Defender episode replaying it in your head, haven't you?
I certainly have. The other day, I sent a message to KJ because he was playing the bad guy,
right?
Kevin Jarnigan, and I was asking him questions, and one of the questions that I asked him, I said, hey, when you walked into the store, you reached over the counter and you fired on the clerk that was over there. And I said, I asked, did you turn and face me, look in my direction, and then turn back to go over the counter? And he goes, yes, I did. And it took me 4 days to figure that out, that's how.
What? So it was in your head, but you just hadn't remembered it.
That's right.
Whoa.
That's right. Because, you know, they talk about tunnel vision, and I know that this is just a scenario, and you know it's not real. You're playing a part, but it still sets in. Your heart rate goes up, and it's real enough.
Oh, I think it moves from being a scenario to being real really quickly. Because if you take this stuff seriously, once it starts, you're trying to react the right way and save yourself or maybe save other people and trying to, you know, and you experience all of that stuff of, you know, I don't know what happened. It happened so fast. It takes you 4 days to figure out what happened. You're going, wow. A good point, Michelle saying, you know, it's one of the reasons that you don't make a statement to the police because it's probably going to be wrong because you don't actually know what happened.
And that was my point to KJ exactly, I received great training while I was there, but probably my biggest takeaway was that, you know, it makes me appreciate my Fifth Amendment rights more because I could just spout off stuff, saying things, because of that's what I thought, but that's not really what happened.
And imagine if there's a security camera. Imagine they're looking at the security camera footage and going, well, he told us he did this thing, but this is actually what he did. That guy's lying to us.
Right. That's right. And in this case, we have actual cameras that are filming the whole scenario to see exactly what happened. I haven't seen any of that footage yet, so it'll be interesting for me to see how that plays out when it airs.
What was I tell you what I'm going to do. Let me take a quick break here, because I want to come back, Luke. What I want to ask you is, what do they train you? Because I know between scenarios they do a little training with you and kind of give you some thoughts there. I'm going to ask you how that went, and then how the second or follow-up scenarios went, and if you felt like you got some improvement. We're talking with Luke Capria. He was a first-person offender participant, and he's given us this really cool first-person range report. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
Visit Brownells.com for the best parts, tools, and accessories to get your build on. Building an AR? Brownells has the best uppers, lowers, barrels, handguards, and parts. What about a custom pistol build? Brownells has both 80% and complete handgun frames, slides, and barrels to make your handgun what you want. Brownells also has articles and videos to help you build and customize your firearms. Go to Brownells.com and start your gun build today.
Visit guntalk.com/win to enter Gun Talk's Double Strike giveaway for multiple chances to win one of 2 grand prize packages from Arms Corps Rock Island Armory. Each grand prize includes the new STK-100 striker-fired 9mm pistol, plus 2 boxes of Arms Corps centerfire 9mm ammunition. The STK-100 features a solid aluminum frame, an optics-ready slide, and an extended beaver tail. Enter now through July 30th at guntalk.com/win.
Carry comfortably without sacrificing capacity with Smith & Wesson's M&P Shield Plus. Designed for concealed carry, the M&P Shield Plus offers a 13+1 extended magazine or a 10+1 flush mount magazine in a slim, micro-compact frame. The M&P Shield Plus 9mm is offered in a variety of configurations, including performance center models with optics cuts, upgraded sights, and more. The Shield Plus. Find yours at smith-wesson.com.
With you, Tom Gresham here. You know, we spent a lot of time putting together the First Person Defender show, and now we have created a great website. Yes, you can get our videos wherever you get streaming video, but honestly, our website, Gun Talk TV, guntalktv.com, you can go there and see all of the videos. And look, there's always the possibility that one of these platforms is going to deplatform you sometimes. We built our own platform where you can go and see all sorts of gun videos. That'd be guntalktv.com. We're talking with Luke, who just went through the first-person defender scenario just this past week. It was basically, as you say, ripped out of the headlines, a shooting at a gun store, and guy comes in, starts shooting people, and, all heck breaks loose. So, Luke, you do this scenario, this thing just goes crazy, and then, of course, typically we run the scenario, and then we stop, and then you get a little training. So what happened during the training? What did you guys discuss?
Some of the things we discussed was how I currently carry is off body. So I had that with me. So we talked about that a little bit and maybe some better ways to do that. And then we talked about, using more of the space available for cover and or concealment and whatnot, and how to utilize those spaces. And then once you're in there, how do you defend yourself while you're in there? So we went over some tactics on how to present and use that's available to you.
How did you feel about the training you were getting there? Was it useful to you?
It was awesome. Mike was very knowledgeable, very passionate, and you felt that. Well, I felt that in the questions that he was asking me, the advice that he was telling me, and I used that. And we go on and we talked about ways to practice that. Okay. So it's fast. It's not like it's a day course where you're there.
No. It's 30 minutes or an hour's worth of training. Yes, not a lot. So what happened the second time around when they did the scenario on you again?
So the second scenario was interesting because, as you mentioned, it does change, and they changed it up a little bit. There wasn't just one bad guy; there was 2 bad guys this time, and that makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
Because I was very surprised by that, and they said I did well. Ryan, KJ, Mike, they just as a brief offshoot from that, the crew that you and Ryan have assembled there with KJ and Mike, they're top-notch people. It's a heck of a crew you got there.
I mean, I know that I sound biased only because I am, but I think they're the best in the business by far. Our team is absolutely phenomenal in what they do, and keeping it safe, and making the training real and producing things in such a way that people can actually learn from them.
Yep, and it is real. Even though you're not using real bullets, the whole thing is real if I, as the participant, go into that as it's real. I could have gamed it. I could have done a lot of other things, but I was there to get just as much out of it as everybody else was. I know it's a production, and you guys use that to educate millions of people, and that's great, but I still wanted to be a part of that to learn and to get that force-on-force training, because I live in upstate New York. There's nothing like that available to me around here.
And I know what you're doing. Every day you're doing the what-ifs. What should I have done? What did I do? What could I do? How could things change? I never thought of that. Holy cow, I'm going to be more alert. I'm going to be more aware. It's just, and what's interesting to me is you experienced PTSD. It took you 4 days to remember something that happened in the middle of that, and that was a training scenario. It wasn't even real bullets going out there.
That's right. And I'm sure everybody says it. It just was so fast.
Yes,
and
everybody says the same thing. It happens so fast.
Yeah, so you need that time to think about it. You need to be able to say, well, what did happen, so that you can articulate it to the authorities that are asking you that question. Hopefully they're asking you those questions at the end of it. And it's important for you to get your head around it, because it's not easy.
To your point and to your experience, one of the things you want to say is, look, there's the bad guy. This is what he did. And then pretty quickly stop talking and say, officer, look, I would love to talk with you about this, but I know that I probably need to talk to my attorney. And all you're doing is buying time. It's not so much that you need to talk to your attorney. You need to buy time so you can process it and figure out what the heck just happened. And, you need a few days and say, be happy to come in with my attorney and talk with you guys, do whatever we do. But at this point, probably we're going to have to stop talking until I talk with my attorney. That's what you're doing, is you're buying time with that.
That's exactly right. Because as I said, I reluctantly, I definitely don't want to be a hero. I'll reluctantly be a hero, and I definitely don't want to be a dead hero. And I want to help the police. I want to help the people that are there to make sure everything is right. But at the same time, if I talk too soon, then I might not be helping anyone or enough people or even myself.
Well, you're going to benefit so much from having done first-person offender. You're going to cycle this. You're going to become a safer person. And I just want to thank you, Luke. Thanks for coming down, man. And I'm glad it was worthwhile. I can't wait to see it once we get it up online.
It was awesome. Thank you again. Thank you with the experience with everybody. They're top-notch people.
Terrific. I appreciate it. And they really are. If you haven't seen First Person Offender, go to guntalktv.com. Take a look at what we're talking about. It really is one of those, holy cow, that happened fast. Holy cow, I never thought of that. Wow, did you see that? It's just amazing when you watch it. If you haven't seen First Person Offender, do yourself a favor, check it out. And it doesn't matter if you go to YouTube or wherever you get your videos, you can see them there. Just look for Gun Talk everywhere, the Gun Talk channel, and you can go see it. Easiest, honestly, is probably go to the guntalktv.com website. It's called First Person Offender. We take people, drop them into first-person scenarios where they get attacked, they get in the middle of a thing. Maybe it's a thing that involves somebody else, and should you get involved? Should you insert yourself? Ooh. Tough question. The thing is, none of this is easy. Making the decisions is not easy. That's why you train and look at the stuff and spend hours doing it now, so that you have already made your decisions. You don't have to try to figure it out you'll recognize situations. If you recognize it more quickly, you will react more quickly. Maybe you can even get out of it and not have to use your gun. That's a win for sure right there. Hey, let's go to line one. Tony's with us out of Texas. Got a question about gun belts? What are you looking at, Tony?
Yes. I know I'm wearing out my current belt, which is not a gun belt. And I hear you talking about gun belts all the time. And I've never owned one, never shot for one. So I was trying to figure out if you had any advice what I'm looking for. What's the difference between a belt and a gun belt?
Yeah, for me, it needs to be made to be a gun belt. If they don't call it a gun belt, it's not a gun belt. It may be wide, it may even be thick, but it's not going to be rigid enough. And once you get a good gun belt, it really becomes comfortable. There's 2 or 3 outfits out there making belts that I really like. If you like the canvas, synthetic, web type, Wilderness Tactical makes good belts. Somebody put me on an outfit. I don't know the guys at all. I just buy their belts, okay? I have no affiliation with them at all. It's A&G, the letters, A&G, Custom Gun Leather, agcustomgunleather.com. They make really good gun belts. In fact, that's what I have on right now, carrying a 1911 as I speak to you at the moment. So, yeah, I can carry a full-size 1911 with these gun belts, and it's comfortable for all-day carry. But whatever, and there are a lot of other people who make good gun belts. The key there is to buy something that's actually called a gun belt and not just a wide, fat belt, because they almost always fail.
Well, like I say, I heard you talk about it before, but I've never looked into it, and I was like, I don't even know what to start, what I'm looking for, basically. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, take a look. agcustomgunleather.com. That's the leather. If you like the synthetic or canvas, you can go to Wilderness Tactical, and they have different strengths and widths. Even some have like a steel insert in them. And once you start carrying with a real gun belt, it's like, holy cow, I didn't know that it could be this comfortable. It's amazing how many people have said, yeah, I heard you say that for years. And, it's like, yeah, it's just noise. And finally went and bought one and went, wow, this really is good. This is comfortable. This is great. Duh.
Yeah, and I conceal, so I usually have a shirt out, so I'm not too concerned about the looks. I just want,
Okay. Well, do me a favor, if you would, Tony. Once you get a good gun belt and you've worn it for a few weeks, call me back and let me know what you think, okay?
I will do, sir. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that'd be cool. And you can get generally 1.5 to 1 3/4 inch belts. Just make sure that whatever holster or holsters you have will work on the belt. Because if you've got holsters set up for 1.5 inch wide belt and you get a 1 3/4, could be a problem. Okay, just saying. Okay, so we have had all these successes in the courts, and a few gone south in terms of Second Amendment. When we come back, I want to talk about kind of where we are. I have a pretty good feeling about where we're going in the courts relative to the Second Amendment, especially with the makeup of the Supreme Court the way it is now. But then again, I tend to have rose-colored glasses, so we're going to be talking to an expert who actually knows what's going on. If you want to be informed and you want to know what's going on and you want to be able to tell people, you want to stay with us, you can even call us, 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.